Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode. I'm back and here to talk to you guys about about trust issues. So we all have trust issues. We've all had something happen to us that makes us not want to relive that experience anymore. We've all had somebody hurt us or turn their back on us that makes us not want any kind of relationship with anybody ever. It makes us want to isolate, makes us want to just go on about our lives just completely alone, and with very little interaction and very little help from anybody else. Like we all have them now. I I understand that there's a lot of people in the world that have had it way worse than I have, that currently have it way worse than I have. There's people that grew up without parents. There's people that grew up bouncing from foster care home to foster care home, and maybe at one point they got adopted, but their adoptive parents didn't give a shit about them either. Or maybe you're a boy or a young man and you never got to meet your dad, and you never had a dad teach you how to become a man, how to treat a woman, how to treat a woman with kindness and respect, how to hold a door open for her. I've never been fatherless. I've never been in a fatherless home, so I don't know what that's like. So, but you do. So in a way, I'm not saying that you have it worse than I do, but yeah, I mean, I guess I am saying that. So I don't want whatever story that I have to overshadow other people's experiences that may be more severe and may have affected them a great deal, especially, like even to this day, or maybe even for the rest of their life. But I'm going to go ahead and just fill you guys in on an experience that I had 5 years ago. I've had a couple of them. One was 5 years ago, and then one was 10 years ago. I don't know what it is about the 5 or the 10 year mark of something that like a certain situation might happen to you that like you might completely forget about later on down the road. Like you don't even give it a second thought, and then for whatever reason that 5 or 10 year mark hits, and like it starts to resurface in your brain again, and you go, oh shit, I know exactly how that feels. 5 years ago, not to this day 5 years ago, but this happened somewhere around like March of 2017, March or April, where this girl this woman that I worked with, that I actually knew at one point. We actually went to the same high school together. I really don't care what she's doing or like where she is right now. And like honestly, like I'll be glad never to hear her name again for the rest of my life. But I wish her well. I wish her well. If something good happens to her, like I'm not sad about it. But if something bad were to happen to her, I wouldn't be sad about that either. Let me just leave it there. But I do have a role to play in that myself. Like I shouldn't have I shouldn't have done what I did. I was young. I was stupid. I should never have interacted with her. But it is what it is, and whatever happened, and but it still affects me. What she did to me back then, as a result of my stupid action, what she did to me back then still affects me to this day. And I don't think she realized at the point back when this happened how much of an effect that it would have on me still to this day. And it has negatively affected me in my relationships with women. As some of you guys may know, for years I was non-committal. Just didn't want to commit. I've dated women but I've had issues with initiating some kind of a solid like relationship with them. You know, I've had issues with intimacy in the past, and it has affected me. You know, and like anytime I think about it, it bothers me, and I think about the women in my life currently, and how it's affecting me in that department. So when it comes to women, maybe there's a woman that I'm thinking about that's been on my mind a lot lately. Maybe there's a woman that I see at my gym whom I think is attractive, and you know, like, is a catch, and would maybe like to date her, and maybe potentially have a relationship with her. But when it comes to other women, it's not that I don't ever want a relationship with another woman. It's not that I don't want to ever be intimate with her. But there is a vetting process. I have to seriously look into her life before I decide that I even want to date her. You know, it's really like that. I mean, that's how it has to be with me. I have to know and trust that I can be safe with this person. That I can be, you know, that I can be confident in my relationship with her. But it is a struggle of mine, and it's something that I have to get past, and it's something that I have to work on. And I can't let it define me. I can't let it affect the rest of my life, because if I just let it affect the rest of my life, well, then what is that going to mean? Is that going to mean that I just don't ever like have a serious relationship with another woman? Does it mean that I never settle down and get married and have kids eventually? Does it mean that I just stay, you know, in non-committal relationships or monogamous for the rest of my life? I mean, these are things that I think about when I think about the way that I deal with other women, or the way that I date other women. And it's something that needs to get fixed, and something that I really need to work on. But my whole point in bringing that particular story up is to reassure you guys that whatever happened to you in the past, whatever somebody else did to you, you can't ever let it define you or turn you into a victim. Because with all this Me Too stuff that you know, the Me Too movement that's been going on over the last 5 years, I do like the idea behind it. I do think that women need to be spoken for. I do think that women need to be protected and defended against potential rapists, and, you know, guys that want to take advantage of them, guys that are, you know, that are maybe clingy and stalkerish and needy, and don't know how to talk to women, and, you know, like, don't know how to date, don't know how to be with a woman that they're in a relationship with or that they're married to, don't know how to please a woman, don't know how to keep her satisfied. You know, a lot of that is due to a lack of leadership with our men. Anytime I start to notice any kind of decline in our society that's going on, whether it be the Me Too movement or something else, I always look to the men, because the men are supposed to lead. The men are supposed to show their boys, their sons, how to be a man, how to be a gentleman, how to date, you know, how to be kind and respectful with another woman, and men that show their daughters a good example of what a man ought to be, how a man treats his girlfriend or treats his wife. Men have failed in that department miserably over the last 5 or 6 decades, and the direct result of that is what you see today. A lot of trust issues, a lot of men like myself that have issues with intimacy and like, you know, like serious relationships and all that kind of stuff. And the same thing for women. You know, women have a really hard time trusting that the guy that she's with isn't going to, you know, isn't going to be super clingy, isn't going to be abusive towards her, isn't going to, you know, put his hand on her, you know, or you know, be super aggressive with her, you know. You know, she needs to trust that the man that she's with, if she decides to have kids with him, can effectively lead their family, you know, and be a good father to her children. And we need to stop this, because the more and more that we just ignore the elephant in the room and don't look at the issues that we have going on in our society, like what we need to work on. Men, what do you need to work on here? Women, what do you need to work on here? As long as we keep ignoring that, well, then it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. And you're going to have people like myself with trust issues, you know, and people that will like to beat this victim drum their whole life. Because if you're a victim, right, and you're a victim with trust issues, well then who does that benefit? Well, that benefits our politicians. That benefits our oligarchs, our media, because victims are easier to control. If you're a victim, and by the way, if you've ever had somebody in your life, hey, you know what? Don't worry. I'll protect you. I'll make sure that you're taken care of. I'll get reparations for you. If you've ever ran into a person like that in your life and you've heard words uttered like that out of his mouth, get as far away from that person as possible. I mean, take off and run for the hills, because that person wants to control you. That person wants to manipulate you. They don't want to get you any reparations. They don't want to protect you. They don't want to make sure that you're taken care of. But as long as we all keep perpetuating this victim complex and just continue to feel like we're just helpless victims that can't do anything about the fate of our future, well, then what's left? And not only what's left, how are we going to repair ourselves? How are we going to build relationships with other people? How are we going to get over all of these plaguing trust issues that we all have individually? So anyway, guys, a little bit of a rant today, a little bit of, went down a bunch of different tangents today, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure that you share this content with your friends and your family. Make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram. You guys know what both of my platforms are. And that's about all I have for you guys today. So until tomorrow, I will see you guys again for another daily episode.